Hi everybody, this is Ali from Violet Magazine. I've got the wonderful Nikki Elledge Brown with me. This is the third time we've tried to record this interview for various reasons, but the benefit to that is a gift in the sense that we have really had a great chat, and we've really drilled down to what we think is going to be really useful information, and I'm going to pass this on to Nikki so she can describe what it is and how we can all become better writers. Thanks, Nikki.
Yes, we're glad to be back. We have literally recorded or attempted to record this 3 times. It's not just like scheduling.
Yeah.
And so, as Ali said, we really have had a chance to think about like, okay, what do we really want to share? What do we really want you to know? And there are a few things, but the first thing I wanted to start off with is this message about the mindset stuff. And this is something that I talked about a lot this summer, which is 2014 right now as we're filming this, with my clients and customers and students and folks that were in this Facebook group I created, because you could have all the tools, all the recipes, all the formulas and strategies in place. You could have an amazing website with everything ready to go. But if you can't make yourself sit down to actually write, then you're stuck, before you start. Literally, you're blocked. And so I wanted to start off with 4 quick tips to help you move past that mindset stuff so you can actually start sharing your message. So the first thing is to choose your words wisely. And there's a double meaning to this. On one hand, I mean your words, because it really should be your message and not whatever you think people want to hear or what all the cool kids are saying or how they're saying it. It really does need to be your words, your personality, because that's what's going to attract the right people for your business, so you don't have to pretend to be someone other than you are. Choose your words wisely. The other meaning to that is to be kind to yourself and watch what you're saying about yourself when it comes to your writing skills. So a lot of times people will say, and even me, like literally, I still say this sometimes, is like, I don't really like writing too much. I do prefer video and speaking. But when I say that, that's not helping me enjoy writing more. So when I say choose your words wisely, I mean literally catch yourself. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, it takes me so long, or oh, I'm awful at writing copy, or whatever you want to call it, just flip the script and be a little nicer to yourself. Give yourself a little more credit and say, I'm actually getting better at writing every day. Or every day I do this, I get a little bit quicker. So make it something you believe, so you're not just like wasting your breath, digital or imaginary breath. But make sure that you're actually saying something that will help you enjoy it more, or will help you get better or faster, or whatever it is that you want to be. So choose your words wisely is one thing. The second thing I like to talk about is outsmarting writer's block, because it seems to just be an excuse. It's like, oh, I got writer's block. I don't have to do anything today. I have writer's block. It's like a little doctor's note, that you sent in to school. Like, I get to sit out today. You don't get to sit out today because people need to hear your message. You have something valuable to share. You need to share it. And so one of the best ways to do it is literally just to practice good old-fashioned discipline and make yourself sit down, shut down email, shut down Facebook, put your phone far away unless that's what you're going to use as your timer, and set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And just sit down and write. And when it's done, when the timer dings, you can take a break if you want, or maybe you're kind of in the zone and you're going to go for it and keep going. And it may be what I like to call a charming draft. Like maybe it's not inspired brilliance in your best work, but it's momentum, and that's good. And you'll be surprised at how inspiration can meet you exactly where you are, just when you show up to do the work, like Stephen Pressfield says in The War of Art. The third thing is to move past perfectionism. And I can say this because I've been trying to pretend like I wasn't a perfectionist for my whole life, but from like literally 8 years old, that was a label that other people were like, perfect grades and all that stuff, slapped on me. So it's something I dealt with because I'm like, it's arrogant. Like, I know I'm not perfect. So why is that like my construct in my brain? Well, it's great to want to do the best that you can do. But really, operating at that level means you're never going to get stuff done, and you're always going to stay paralyzed because it's never going to be good enough. And so you have to realize really, really good is good enough. So you have to figure out for you, I was talking about this with Michelle Simmons, and we were like, okay, 80%. And we both knew intuitively, like, no, 80% isn't good enough for me. 95%, I could say, that's it. So figure out what your good enough is. Your really, really good is good enough. and be okay with it, and know that there is beauty and humanity in the imperfection and in the typos that are just going to sneak past you every now and then, or in that little dead air on your video or whatever. Like, it's fine. People, you're human, and people appreciate that.
Yeah.
It helps people relate to you. It's fine to mess up and have a typo, as long as it's not like unprofessional because you weren't trying. I'm pretty sure you're trying, so you're covered. So this is a little e-slap in the face to get over yourself and know that it's good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be shared. That's another thing I tell myself and my students all the time. And then the last thing that relates to this mindset stuff is being open to seeking useful feedback, because we don't communicate in a vacuum. You know, we're not just like putting stuff out there and then, you know, those dream clients are real people who are actually reading it and having impressions and takeaways or not understanding something. You've got to be open to feedback. That's part of the model of communication and part of that loop. And so there are three things to consider when you're seeking useful feedback that will actually help you improve your communication. Number one is to be specific. So a lot of times in different Facebook groups or communities, you'll see people be like, here's my about page, what do you think about it? Or here's my sales page, would you buy it? And that's like not very helpful to the people who you're trying to get to provide feedback, because it's a huge question that's basically asking them to do a full audit of the page, and it's assuming they know who you're even writing it for. So that's why the second step in seeking useful feedback is to provide context and say, here's what I'm trying to reach, here's what I'm trying to do. Do you think that this makes it clear what the next step would be? Does this sound cheesy, or whatever the case is? Because maybe we're not your ideal people. But if you tell us who your ideal people are, then we can pretend to be and at least try to give you better feedback that way. And then the third thing is to return the favor, because nobody likes the one in the group who's always just coming and taking and saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? But they're not taking time to offer the feedback. So it's a beautiful, virtuous cycle. Excuse me for that. So those are the four main things. And then the last kind of piece to tie it all together, I want to say, and this is something, like, I worked with over 160 people one-on-one in my first 8 months of business from all over the world, including Allie.
Hi, yes.
And yes, and I learned so much. Like, it was so cool to see all the different variety of businesses. But the one common thread among all of these women, and there was one man out of the 160, was that we just needed permission. And who am I to give permission? It's not mine to give, but sometimes you just need someone to tell you, like, you have permission to be yourself. Not only is it permission, it's like mandatory and required, because if these people are signing up to do business with you, you need to present yourself in an authentic, real, this is who, what you see is what you get kind of way. Otherwise, it's like a bait and switch. And I like to say, on what planet does it make sense to use someone else's personality to attract your dream clients? Because maybe so-and-so has this amazing catchy phrase on her page and you use it on yours. People sign up expecting her, and then they work with you, and then you both feel disappointed. It's kind of like an online dating profile picture that's like 20 years old or the wrong person, and then whenever you meet up, you're kind of like, yeah, I knew that's what you were expecting, and that's not me. And then you're not, it's not good, it's not fun. But if you show up as you are, and people voluntarily say, yes, I want that, whenever you work with them, it's so much fun. And I know it. I speak it from experience, and it's now happened with hundreds of people. Add in my course about copy students, and they're freaking amazing, because I'm just showing up as I am, communicating via video or writing, and that's really powerful, and that's what I'm helping them do with people. And the last point I wanted to make that people tend to freak out about is this idea of copywriting or writing for your business, and there's like a wall, and it's just this separate thing that like people are scared of because you're not familiar with it. Look, I didn't know that copywriting with the W was a word until January 2013, and I started my business a few months later, and less than 2 months after that, I had 90-something clients signed up to work with me on copywriting. It's communication that I'm talking about, at least. Like, yes, copywriting is all about the psychology of how you're putting stuff together. The way I like to talk about it is from my perspective and my background, which is just the social science of communication. There's a person on the other side of the screen who's looking at your website to figure out if you have something that can help them. So tell them about it in a way that you would tell them about it if they were actually sitting right here or at your coffee table or at the grocery store or whatever it is. Just communicate with them. Take the pressure off of yourself, and don't think of it as this separate thing. Like, absolutely, there are tips and tricks and ways to make it easier. I've got tons on my blog and, of course, about copy. But the reality is we're overcomplicating it. We're thinking about it too much, and that's keeping us from sharing our messages with the people who need them most. So that's my coffee soapbox, is that it doesn't have to be that. It's just a message. We're just talking to people. So thanks for letting me ramble on, Allie, but I think that's everything I was meant to share that we built
Thank
up
you.
in the last 3 attempts.
Oh, I know. Thank you so very much. I mean, at the end of the day, as you said, it's about people being authentic and not getting quite so tied up with, I have to be a brilliant, I have to write brilliantly. It's about being where you're at and, as you say, getting advice from the likes of yourself and doing your course, your most recent course, a course about copy. But as you mentioned, you do have a lot of information on your blog and you share an enormous amount of yourself and your skill sets all over. And Violet is one of them. I'm so very grateful. And I'm sure that everything that you've spoken about will be well received. So thank you. Violet readers, thank you everywhere.
Yeah.
Yay. Until next time, I'll speak to you.